Hello, my name is Elise Holderman, and I serve with Snowflakes as a Snowflakes Adopting Parent Coordinator. I've been with Snowflakes for, since 2025, and I am here today to talk to you about our Snowflakes Embryo Adoption Open Hearts Program. I am really excited to talk to you about this program today. I think it's super exciting, and I think by the end of this video, you will too. Though if you've got any questions, I would encourage you to reach out to an inquiry specialist or to just get in contact with us. We would love to talk to you if you're interested in this program. The Open Hearts program exists to create a space for embryos with the most need to find a home. So let's just go ahead and dive into it a little bit more. Open Hearts was established in 2021 with the goal of finding a match for every single embryo. Since the beginning, Snowflakes has seen that every snowflake is unique in the same way that each frozen embryo is unique. It's kind of been the mantra since the very beginning. Though we believe that every embryo deserves a chance to be born, there are not many clinics in the US that tend to agree with us. Most clinics have preferences. Those preferences can be the stage of development that an embryo is frozen on, or the length of time that an embryo has been frozen for, or other factors. We'll cover that more in depth a little bit later. Those preferences held by clinics will eliminate some embryos that we here at Snowflakes still believe deserve a chance to be born. So because clinics will not accept these embryos, they can be harder to match. But regardless of these clinics' preferences, we have seen healthy pregnancies and babies born from all embryos. Though the rest of your process through the Open Hearts program will look the same, there are a couple notable differences in the matching process that I do want to cover with you. So in our traditional Snowflakes program, we ask that you would choose from 6 categories, all listed there. But in the Open Hearts program, we do ask that you would limit that to 3 preferences. So we ask about number of embryos that you're comfortable adopting. So for example, if you are hoping to adopt one or hoping to have one child, we would not place you with 20 embryos. We also ask about your hopes and dreams for communication. And then the last preference we ask you about is if the embryos have been tested and those results came back positive for a genetic condition or inconclusive, which is called mosaic, we would ask if you were comfortable with that. The program cost is a little bit different. So I mentioned that many clinics in the US don't want to transfer these embryos. However, like I said, we have found some. Likely they will be rather far from you and you will need to travel. So we have lowered the program costs to hopefully help offset some of those travel fees. And then finally, the matching time in Open Hearts is typically cut down. Even though the number of embryos available in our Open Hearts program is smaller than the amount of embryos that we have in our traditional program, there are also fewer Open Hearts adopting families. Additionally, Open Hearts placing families tend to be more flexible in their own preferences for the adoptive family, which also helps to shorten that matching time for you. What is the need for Open Hearts? So the biggest need is that these little babies suspended in time would have a chance to be born. We recognize that at Nightlight, we are pro-life and not many clinics are, and we need to balance our viewpoint with the realities of our current world and do our best to find solutions. So our solution is this Open Hearts program. We also wanted to create an opportunity for families who potentially have a longer time in matching to, again, have that maybe potentially shorter time in matching. You've heard me talk about these Open Hearts clinics, and I wanted to touch on them a little bit more. So these clinics have the capacity, they have the personnel and the understanding to deal with these kinds of embryos. If you do want to know more about these clinics, you're more than welcome to reach out to our staff who can help direct you to the best option for you and your family. Our communication information, our number and our email will be at the end of this presentation that you can find to reach out to us. And then I also wanted to touch on remote monitoring. So all of our Open Hearts clinics, though they will be far from you, have agreed to allow remote monitoring. So you will be able to prepare for your frozen embryo transfers or your FETs up until the point that you are completing your FETs. So you're able to find a clinic a little bit closer to home to kind of prepare for those transfers, and then you'll need to travel for your actual transfers. Again, what is the harder to match? So you've heard me talk about these embryos that most clinics don't want to match with. Sometimes clinics won't accept these embryos because they are maybe graded a little bit of a lower grade, or maybe they were frozen prior to 2005, or maybe they were frozen using an old method called slow frozen, or like I mentioned, that mosaic. Clinics can tend to be particular, and each one will have different preferences depending on their capabilities at each individual clinic. There are other reasons, though, beyond clinics. There are times when embryos come to us with a long and difficult backstory already that might lead us to place them into open hearts, or potentially the embryos have been passed through several hands or several families, making it difficult for us to have access to paperwork that most clinics are requiring. So this is not an exhaustive list of why an embryo might be placed into open hearts, but just some of the reasons, some of the most common reasons that we see for embryos coming into our open hearts program. If you have been asking yourself, am I a good candidate for open hearts? We encourage the families who just feel called to add to their families via adoption, or families who are adoption minded and really just want to give every single embryo the chance to be born. So families who wish to rescue embryos who are kind of without this program, stuck in frozen storage for an indefinite amount of time. And then again, if you are a family or an individual who might be looking at a longer matching time, we also wanted to create a way for you to be matched a little bit quicker. The mission of Open Hearts, again, is just to find adoptive families who are ready to open their hearts and welcome these children into their lives. We hope that this would potentially be you. And again, if you've got questions, we encourage you to contact us. Before I show our contact information, I did want to show you some Open Hearts babies that we have seen born recently. We've got little Leo on the right. He is Snowflakes baby 1273. He was frozen on day 3 of development using the slow frozen method, and he was frozen for over 21 years. And you can just tell he's absolutely perfect. And then baby Thaddeus was born in the summer of 2025, and he currently holds the record for the embryo that resulted in a birth, the oldest embryo that resulted in a birth. So he was frozen on day 2 of development. He was frozen using the slow frozen method and frozen for 30.5 years. So we were very, very excited for him to be born and for that record to be broken. Here is our contact information. Like I said, we've got inquiry specialists that would love to talk with you if you think that this could potentially be a good option for your family. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.